Hello, everyone, and welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today, in this particular episode of CAT Curriculum, we'll be looking at some previous year questions of the Common Admissions Test. Now, this is an important test for students who want to pursue a degree in management in India. The Common Admissions Test has various sections to it. Today, we'll be looking at some questions from the section of Quantitative Aptitude, or QA. Now let's start off with our first question. Arun's present age in years is 40% of Barun's. In another few years, Arun's age will be half of Barun's. By what percentage will Barun's age increase during this period? Now again, QA questions don't usually have options, so you'll have to solve it from the beginning. Now let's look at what's given to us. The present age of Arun is 40% of Barun's age. Now, in another few years, the number is not being determined, Arun's age will be half of Barun's. Now, whenever that happens, of course, both Arun and Barun would have higher ages. So we need to understand by what percentage will Barun's age increase during this period. So we don't have specific values, but we do have some progression happen. So some progress happening in numerical values that we don't know. So in order to solve this question, we will consider a few things. We will consider Arun's present age to be 40B, which means we'll consider Barun's present age to be 100B. Now, this is from the statement that Arun's present age is 40 years of Barun's present age. So we'll consider Barun's present age as 100. So Arun's present age would be 40% of that, which means 40% of 100B would be 40B. Again, they'll put letters like B, C, etc., depending on the question, in order to put in placeholders that you can work off. Now, we'll also consider that after 2 years, we know that after a few years, Arun's age will be half of Barun's. Now we will consider TB the number of years at which Arun's age will be half of Barun's age. All right. So we know that we consider Arun's present age is 40B, Barun's present age is 100B, and we know that T will be the number of years at which Arun's age will be half of Barun's age. So we'll be adding T to both 40B and 100B. Now, we know that in another few years, or T years, Arun's age will be half of Barun's. So representing that statement, it'll be 40B plus T, which is Arun's age, will be half of Barun's age. So that means 100B plus T over 2. Now from here, we'll take 2 to the left-hand side. So that is 40B plus T times 2 equals 100B plus T. So multiply 2 to both 40B and T, you'll get 80B plus 2T equals 100B plus T. So we'll be taking T to one side and B to the other side. So let's take B to the right-hand side and T to the left-hand side. So therefore, 2T minus T, because plus T goes to the left, becomes minus T, equals 100B minus 80B. All right. So 2T minus T is T. So T is basically the number of years, which we use to represent after a few years. And if you look at the right-hand side, 100 minus 80 gives you 20. So 20B. So 20B is 20 times Barun's age. So we considered Barun's present age as 100B. So, and we considered that as 100 percentage. So 20 times B would mean 20% of Barun's age. So if you look at it, in another few years, so whatever that few years is also the increase in Barun's age, and we have represented it as 20% of Barun's age. So this particular answer, 20%, is the right answer. So just to start off with, we consider, we put B as present age, T as the time period that passes, and we're going to use the statement in the question that says Arun's age will be half of Barun's in T years. And by using that, we can find the value of T with respect to B, and whatever the coefficient of B is, turns out to be the percentage. And so that percentage is 20%. So this is one of the many ways in which you answer questions for QA. Now here comes another question. A person can complete a job in 120 days. He works alone on day 1. On day 2, he is joined by another person who can also complete the job in exactly 120 days. On day 3, they're joined by yet another person of equal efficiency. That means they can complete the job in 120 days. Now, the condition is every day a new person with the same efficiency joins the work. Now, the question is, how many days are required to complete the job? Now, again, this requires us to quantify certain things. So we will consider W be equal to 1 day work for one person. Now, that means the total work that we require to be completed will be equal to 120 times 1 day's work, so 120 W. Now, in order to better understand the progression that's happening here, let's build a table. This is, again, another important method of solving QA questions. So for the table, we have the columns is day, number of people, work done on the day, and work done till that day. Now, in case you're wondering, those are two different values. We'll see why in a minute. Now, on day 1, a person works alone. So that means there's only one person, which means he can do W amount of work, and the total work done would be W. Now, on day 2, we have 2 people. Now, that means 2 times W happens on the particular day. However, there's already work done on the previous day, which is W. So work done till the second day would be W plus 2W, which is 3W. Similarly, if you go for 3 people, 3W work done that day, and the previous work is added together to give you 6W. Let's also do 4 people, 4W. 6 plus 4 gives you 10W. Now we can go on and until it reaches 120W. So that's the slow way to do it. However, if you look at 6W, or let's look at 6W, it'll be, now let's get in the formula here and prove it with 6W. So the formula, this is a general formula that works for this kind of situation. For n days of work by n people, the total work done is equal to n times n plus 1 into the work done, which is W, over 2. Okay, so n times n plus 1 over 2. So let's look at the third day. Now, the third day, the total work done for that day would be 3 times 4 times W over 2, which is 12W over 2, which is 6W. So this can be proved by looking at the table. We can extend it all the way and we can check it for each particular day, and you can see that this particular equation holds. So we're going to use this on 120W. So what we're going to do is we're going to equate 120W with the equation we have. So what that gives you is n times n plus 1 times W over 2 gives you 120W. So since W is present on both sides, we can cancel that. Now that means n times n plus 1 gives you 240. 120 times 2 is 240. Now we need to find two numbers which are adjacent to each other and whose product would give you 240. So a good way to do this is by using prime factorization. So 240 divided by 2 gives you 120, divided by 2 gives you 60, divided by 2 gives you 30, divided by 2 gives you 15, divided by 5 gives you 3, and divide that by 3, you get 1. So basically, you have 2 raised to 4 times 3 times 5. 3 times 5 gives you 15. 2 raised to 4 is 16. So as you can see, 15 times 16 gives you 240. So therefore, since 16 is, one digit higher than 15, so therefore we can conclude that the number of days required to complete total work is 15. So 15 turns out to be the right answer. So basically, we use the table, and we can either use the table until we reach 120, or once you can, if you're smart enough, you can figure out the formula, which in this case is n times n plus 1 over 2. So that's how we solve this particular question. Let's look at another question. An elevator has a weight limit of 630 kilograms. Now, it is carrying a group of people. The heaviest person of the group weighs 57 kilograms. The lightest person weighs 53 kilograms. We need to find the maximum possible number of people in the group. Now, in a question like this, we know that the lightest person possible is 53 kilograms, so we would automatically assume 630 over 53. However, 630 over 53 would give us the wrong answer. The reason why is if you read the question, the second statement says it's carrying a group of people of whom the heaviest weighs 57 kilogram and the lightest weighs 53 kilogram. So in a group of people, you would have one person with 57 kilograms and one person with 53 kilograms. So these are the two conditions that the question stipulates. So you need to have at least one person with 57 kilograms and at least one person with 53 kilograms. Now, you can work from here. We know that the total capacity is 630 kilograms. That's the weight limit. And we need to fit a max number of people, provided that at least one person weighs 57 kilograms and one person weighs 53 kilograms. And we can put in weights between 57 and 53. Now, maximum number of people is usually achieved when the weight per person is the lowest. So aside from the question stipulated that you need one person with 57 kilogram, you can fill the rest of the elevator with people weighing exactly 53 kilograms. Now, This still provides us with the lightest weight being 53 kilograms and the heaviest being 57 kilograms, but it also allows us to, you know, reduce the weight per capita on the elevator. So the group will consist of one person weighing 57 kgs and let's say X people weighing 53 kgs. Now, how do we find that X? So if you look at it, the weight limit was 630. Now, we will do weight limit minus 57 would be 630 minus 57. We'll just do that here. So 10 minus 7 is 3. 2, because the reason why it's 10 is we took 1 from 3, so that's 2 now. 2 minus 5 doesn't work, so we take 1 from 6, so that becomes 12. 12 minus 5 is 7, and the 5 goes down, so we have 573 kilograms. So if we remove the weight of the person with 57 kilograms, the remaining weight that the elevator can hold is 573 kilograms. Now, we divide 573 with the least weight. So that means it'll be 573 over 53. Now let's do that here as well. Of course, this won't be a perfect division. There's going to be a remainder. So 53 times 10 is 530. So 3 minus 0 is 3. 7 minus 3 is 4. 5 minus 5 is 0. So what we get is 10 for 43 over 53. Now this means 10 persons of 53 kilograms each plus one person of 57 kilograms can fit in the elevator. So that means the total number of, the maximum number of, people that can be fit in the elevator is 11 people. So 11 people is the maximum amount of people that you can fit in the elevator, provided heaviest person weighs 57 kilograms. And, okay, give me a second. Provided that heaviest person weighs 57 kilograms, lightest person weighs 53 kilograms, weight limit being 630. So since the question is providing us the condition of heaviest weighing 57, we do need to take that into account. And then we use the lightest weight indiscriminately to find out the maximum number of people that you can fit in the elevator. So that's how we solve this question. Now, let's look at this question. A man leaves his home, walks with a speed of 12 kilometers per hour, reaching the railway station 10 minutes after the train had departed. If instead he had walked at a speed of 15 kilometers per hour, he would have reached the station 10 minutes before the train's departure. We need to find the distance in kilometer from his house to the railway station. So, how do we solve this question? Well, this question requires us to again go back to substitution and the usage of tables. All right, now we know that speed 1, let's call it speed 1, is 12 kilometers per hour, and speed 2 is 15 kilometers per hour. Okay, so we have 12 and 15. So we need to express distance in a way that involves multiplication of both 12 and 15. So what we do is we take the LCM of 12 and 15. Now, if you do 15 times 12, that would be 150 plus 30, 180. but that's not the lowest common multiple. 15 goes into 64 times. 12 goes into 65 times. So we're going to use the LCM, and we're going to consider the distance from home to train station be 60 times d, where d stands for distance, I suppose. Now, we're also going to consider speed at which the person must travel to reach on time be s, and the exact time be t. Okay, so these are our assumptions, and we're going to build a table from here. So we're going to take cases, we're going to take the distance, which is going to be constant, of course. We're going to take speed, we're going to take time in hours, and also time in minutes. So in case you're wondering, this is t in hours. Now s again is in kilometers per hour, of course. So now let's take the case where the person reaches the train station at the exact time that the train is departing. So his distance would be 60d, because that doesn't, of course, that doesn't change. The speed at which he travels is s. The time that he takes is t. However, the time in minutes, it'll be 60 times t. All right. Now, what happens if he arrives early? That's our second case. Now, the distance would still be the same, 60d. However, the speed is given to us as 15 kilometers per hour, because in the question it says if he walks at 15 kilometers per hour, he reaches 10 minutes early. So the speed will be 15 kilometers per hour. The time. So we're going to use time equals distance by speed in order to get the time for this particular scenario. This will be 60d over 15, which will be 4d. Now, the time in minutes. So 4d is the time in hours. We're going to multiply that by 60 to get it in minutes, which is 240d. Now remember, in the question it says he would have reached the station 10 minutes before the train's departure if he traveled at 15 kilometers per hour. Now that means 240d will be equal to the exact time, which is 60t, minus 10 minutes. All right, let's consider this to be equation 1. Now, let's look at the case where he is late. Again, distance doesn't change, 60d. The speed right here is at 12 kilometers per hour. So in this case, the speed is 12 kilometers per hour. And we know that the time taken would be 60 over 12, which would be 5d. Now, 5d times 60 gives you 300d. So that's the time in minutes. We also know that when he traveled at 12 kilometers per hour, he reached the railway station 10 minutes after the train had departed. So that means it will be 60t plus 10. And we're going to consider this to be equation 2. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract equation 2 from equation 1. That will be 300d equals 60t plus 10. And 240d equals 60t minus 10. All right, so minus plus. 300 minus 240 gives you 60d. 60t gets cancelled, and 10 plus 10 gives you 20. Now remember, 60d is the distance to travel. we don't have to get the answer of D. We don't have to understand what D is. All we need to know is how much 60D is equal to. So 20 here represents 20 kilometers, and that is the distance from home, from the home of the person to the train station. So 20 kilometers is the right option. So again, the idea is we're going to use time equals distance by speed. Get the time for both cases when he travels at 12 kilometers and 15 kilometers per hour. And we, put in controls S and T for the exact speed at which he needs to travel to reach the station on time and the exact time it takes. And once we do that, we get two equations, which when we solve, we can use that to get the distance, which is 20 kilometers. Now that concludes this particular episode of CAT Curriculum. We hope you found this episode interesting. For more of our useful and informative content, don't forget to subscribe to Brain Blitz Audios. You can also hit the bell icon present below our video to get the latest updates from our channel, whether it's from CAT Curriculum or from any of our other educational content. So until the next webisode, take care, stay safe, ta-ta for now.